Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about musical theater. And for those of you who know me, it is my favorite subject. Yes, it is my hope and my dream. Musical theater has permeated our psyche, our culture, and yes, even our underwear drawer. Watch and learn.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. We're rolling back prices all over the place. So put on a happy face.
You're the crowning glory, you're the top. To every hot dog story, a horse you heard up, and everyday grilled cheese. Scrambled eggs enjoy every time I call you. It's sure to do. Run, walk on, with hope in your heart, and
P&G.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me.
Jokes on roses and whiskers on kittens, striped copper kettles and wool and mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad,
I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Yep. Everything and everyone wants to be a part of musical theater. Just admit it, you know you do. Your foot taps, you sing along, you're transported to another time and place. The song fills you with nostalgia, joy, right? You can't help it. But there is a reason that more than 52% of Broadway theater offerings are musicals. But musical theater isn't just relegated to the New York stage. If you remember from last Christmas season, Frozen became the highest grossing animated film ever, $674 million internationally. And guess what? It's already going to be a musical. We also have television shows such as Glee, top top trending U.S. television show in 2011, featuring many musical theater performances. We also have last year's Les Mis, nominated for 8 Academy Awards, box office of $300 million. And then we have, who can forget this, The Sound of Music Live last December, starring Carrie Underwood, 18.47 million viewers, finishing first in the ratings. And guess what? Next month, December 4th, you'll be seeing Peter Pan live, starring Minnie Driver, Allison Williams, Christian Borle, and Christopher Walken as Captain Hook. And who knew he was a musical theater performer? And he actually is. So let's face it, you can't escape. Musical theater is everywhere. Watch and learn. Here we go. Whoops.
Please.
I'm sorry. And we're back.
Why, this car is chopped. It's shaved. It's racist. Why, it's greased to lightning.
How many fingers do you see?
Call 911 emergency. Why are you singing? Wait, why am I singing?
Is there someone here with you?
Someone that we could talk to.
Are you okay? Are you alright? Okay.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kelso. I'm delighted that you came. So the doctors say you fainted and you don't know what's to blame. Well, put your mind at ease. There's no ill we had outsmart. On behalf of all who work here, welcome to Sacred Heart. Me too.
Now, a woman who'll kiss on the very first date is usually a hussy. And a woman who'll kiss on the second time out is anything but fussy. And a woman who'll wait till the third time around, and the clouds, feet on the ground. She's the girl he's glad he's found. She's his shaboopy, 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 shaboopy.
The girl who's hard to get,
Shaboopy, shaboopy, shaboopy.
but you can win her yet.
Walk her once just to raise the curtain. Walk around twice and you make for certain. Once more in a flower gun, she will never get sore if you beg a pardon.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do.
Squeeze her once when she isn't looking. Get a squeeze back, that's fancy cooking. Once more for a pepper up, but she will never get sore on the way to supper.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, si, do.
Now, little sales and no gal as anyone could see. Look at her, she's a girl gal who only goes for me. Squeeze her once when she isn't looking. Get a squeeze back, that's fancy cooking. Once more for a pepper up, but she will never get sore on the way to supper.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, si, do.
Shaboopy, shaboopy, shaboopy.
The girl who's hard to get,
Shaboopy, shaboopy, shaboopy.
but you can win her yet.
Okay, you kind of wanted it to go on, didn't you? I knew it. Okay. All right. Okay, so why the obsession? Why do we see musical theater in commercials, on television, in regional theaters, and in every high school and college across the nation? I assert that it is because musical theater is a deeply embedded part of our culture. It speaks to our common experiences, our hopes, our fears, our dreams. a popular art form that is at once accessible and deeply profound. One only needs to look at the faces of performers and audiences in these next clips to understand the visceral connection.
One test more. Now testing of massacre. Sir, sit down. He's agonizing, gross you are. She's crossed the page to door here. Scoot us in the ass again. Sit down.
Did not pee before the test.
Down.
How can I pee now that it started?
Sit down. One test more.
Did not last the rest. But the TA is being retarded.
One more test for me to live.
Won't you please sit back?
One more test to learn to love.
You just have
My ambitions to exist.
guess we'll just be on the floor.
And hearing
I will forcefully remove you.
I can't do the flapper,
Sit down.
so I'm dropping out forever. It's hammered in my door.
I was never good at math.
I don't care.
Call security.
One test more.
This is your exam.
is true, I believe in the magical powers of musical theater. I sometimes use a literary example with my students when explaining that very power. Imagine Cyrano stands beneath Roxanne's window and proclaims, "Roxanne, I think you're pretty. Let's go get some coffee and hang out." Why is that not enough? Why does Cyrano instead stand beneath Roxanne's window and say, "I feel your hand's adorable trembling as it plays down the whole net of the jasmine sprays"? Why poetry? The answer? Because ordinary words are not enough to express the extraordinary. In that same way, musical theater, by combining music and theater, heightens and illuminates our experiences in a completely accessible way, and in a way that fully matches the depths of our emotions and our experiences. To combine music and theater is to create the perfect artistic storm. Musical theater becomes a form of expression that releases what cannot be expressed by either music or theater alone. In the words of Victor Hugo, music expresses what cannot be said and on which it is impossible to be silent. Many composers and librettists in history have understood that combining music and drama creates a unique and multifaceted opportunity in which we can discover more about the human condition, about the society in which we live, about the structures under which we operate, and fundamentally about the human wants, needs, and desires. In essence, a reflection of ourselves. Through the exploration of 3 representative examples of musical theater, drawing from 3 distinct time periods, the human condition at different times in history will be illuminated. By examining connections and relationships of both music and theater to the society in which they were created, we are able to better understand society as a whole, and in turn, better understand ourselves as members of the human race. We also discover that as society becomes increasingly complex, the depths to which music and drama must interact for the purpose of exposing the human condition also becomes more complex. Music and drama have been interacting since the documentation of either, but for the purposes of today's discussion, we'll look back only to the late 1870s, where the English team of Gilbert and Sullivan, operetta HMS Pinafore, HMS Pinafore followed many of the same designs as their operatic predecessors. HMS Pinafore, a through-composed operetta containing arias, duets, ensembles, and accompanied recitatives, burlesques Italian opera with its mock melodrama and super nautical dialogue, even while using many components of the operatic form that it mocks. As with many of its predecessors, HMS Pinafore is preoccupied with matters of social class and with a plot that centers on inherent positions, traditions, and marriage that must occur within one's own station. In the end, of course, resolution is found when all classes come together and discover that rank is unimportant where love is concerned. Operettas such as HMS Pinafore featured linear plots and original scores, as well as humor designed to appeal to a more sophisticated 19th century audience. Sullivan's music unmistakably follows operatic form in an effort to comment and mock opera's structure and dramatic style. The sophisticated and educated audiences mentioned above would understand the references to operatic forms. While there are many examples, let's examine the Act 2 trio, Never Mind the Why and Wherefore. Here, Sullivan creates a grotesque minuetish dance performed to a jaunty little melody as Sir Joseph and Corcoran try to convince Josephine of the unimportance of rank where true love is concerned. The music burlesques the aristocracy by manipulating and distorting the dance in both size and tempo. Typically, the minuet is a diminutive and delicate dance, but here Sullivan turns it into a broadly expressed, fast-paced competition of sorts between Josephine, her father, and her intended suitor.
Let the air with joy be laden, ring with songs the air above.
for the union of the maiden with the man who owns her love. Never mind why and wherefore, love can never ranks, and therefore, though your nautical relation in my set would scarcely pass, though you occupy a station in the lower middle class. Ring the many bells of lordship, rend with the air of boarding while, for the union of his lordship with a humble captain's child, or a humble captain's daughter,
For a gallant captain's daughter,
and a lord who rules the water.
and a tar who plows the water.
What? Let the air with joy be laden, ring with songs the air above, for the union of the maiden with the man who owns her love.
Never mind the why and wherefore, love can never ranks, and therefore I admit the jurisdiction. Ably have you played your part. You have carried firm conviction to my hesitating heart.
Ring the many bells on lordship, rend the air with a boarding while, for the union of his lordship with a humble captain's child, for a humble captain's daughter,
For a gallant captain's daughter,
and a lord who rules the water.
and a tar who plows the daughter. Joy be laden, ring the merry bells on board ship.
For the union of the maiden, for the union with his lordship, ring the songs the air above, for the man who owns her love, ring the songs the air above, for the man who
Musical theater examples like this, and those shows produced at the turn of the 20th century, and even several decades beyond, is described by musicologist Alison McLemore as musical theater of a lighter kind, that served as nice diversion from everyday concerns. Operetta imports set in far-off locales, with their stylized presentation and mock operatic sound, transported audiences as far away from reality as the stylized locations. The explosion of popular musical theater forms such as vaudeville, burlesque, and the revue only served to further distance music and drama, forms that often depicted only stereotypical representations of society and its people. Although worthy examples of early book musicals that in many ways combined music and theater included shows such as Showboat and Porgy and Bess, among others. The musical theater synthesis would not be fully realized on the American stage until the collaborative forces of Rodgers and Hammerstein were joined in the 1940s. Composer Richard Rodgers and lyricist Oscar Hammerstein II adapted Lynn Riggs' folk play Green Grow the Lilacs to create Oklahoma, which strangely featured the onstage death of the show's villain, had no chorus of scantily clad chorus girls, and contained a ballet that propelled the plot forward. More groundbreaking, however, was the opening number. Unlike any musical before it, Rodgers and Hammerstein set the tone with remarkable deftness, borrowing a naturalistic device from the original play, in which Curly enters while singing a cowboy song. In the musicalized version, Curly responds to the bird-like twitterings of the orchestra with sentimental waltz song, "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning." Further connecting music to dramatic action, the song's tempo is reflective of the pace at which Curly rides his horse. Here, the composer not only sets the mood, but also creates atmosphere by replicating sounds of nature within the orchestra.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the cattle are standing like statues. Hey! All the cattle are standing like statues. They don't turn their heads as they see me ride by.
Ah, scared me to death.
Oh,
What you doing round here?
Well, I come a singing to you. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy it don't miss a tree. And an old weeping willow is laughing at me. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way.
Oh, Hugh Jackman. Written during World War II, Oklahoma romanticized American themes and feelings of nationalism. Musical theater scholar Cecil Smith writes, the sunny homeliness of Hammerstein's book and lyrics inspired in Rogers an upwelling of friendly melodies, whose inflection often suggested a folk feeling, even though they were not literally based upon folk idioms. Audiences were drawn to the characters as they overcame adversity, forged a new community, and looked toward the future, all while offering homespun folk wisdom in common, direct, everyday language. America saw itself as a microcosm and acquired a vision of what America could offer the rest of the world. Transported by the music and mythological dramatization, audiences did not see themselves on stage, but rather saw a vision of themselves during simpler times, a vision unmarred by the realities of wartime situations and difficulties. Our final example of musical theater as a reflection of society comes from Stephen Sondheim, protege of Oscar Hammerstein II, who is perhaps the most influential musical theater composer and lyricist since the 1960s. From the opening measures of Sweeney Todd, Sondheim uses musical motifs to explicitly describe action, mood, place, and specific characterizations in what I would describe as some of the most sophisticated interaction between music and drama in modern history. In the final scene of Sweeney Todd, two songs or themes occur simultaneously. Sondheim explains, the idea was to have two songs that have nothing to do with each other going on at the same time. One in 5/8 meter and the other in 6/8 meter. Certainly a challenge to the performers, each having to block out the other singer in order to stay within their own song. This final duet creates a feeling of chaos and dissonance, clearly demonstrating Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett's distinctive and contradictory agendas. Again, Sondheim explains the dramatic reasoning behind the musicalization of the scene. He says, and I quote, "If it's a duet, then they're together. Just the fact that the two voices are together implies that they are together. But the whole idea is she's thinking one thing and he's thinking another, and they have different agendas. He's intending to kill her, and she's intending to marry him. So how do you put those two things together?" he says. The answer, you don't. You just have them occur simultaneously, unquote. Let's see the scene in action.
Can it be? All the demons in hell come to torment me. Quick, to the oven.
Why do you scream? Does the judge live still?
He was clutching, holding onto my skirt, but now he's finished.
Listen to me. Open the doors.
No.
Open that door, I say.
Don't touch her.
What's the matter with you? It's only some crazy old bear. Oh no! Oh my God!
Lucy lived. From the moment I walked into your shop, you knew my Lucy lived.
I was only thinking of you.
Lucy.
You're Lucy, a crazy hat, picking bones and rotten spots out of all the ash stands. Would you have wanted to know that was all that was left of her?
You lied to me.
No, not lied at all. No, I never lied. Said she took the poison. She did never said that she died. Nothing. She lived another week in bed. She didn't want to just lie there in bed. Should have been at home and instead. Poor thing. That you should think she was dead. Yes, I love you. 'Cause I love you.
Lucy!
What she was. I love you. I can't ignore you like me.
Mrs. Lovett, you're a bloody wonder, eminently practical and yet appropriate as always. As you've said repeatedly, there's little point in dwelling on the past.
Do you mean it? Everything I did is where I thought was only for the
Nothing
best.
to fear.
Believe me, can we still be?
The history of the world, my pet,
Mr. Todd, leave it to me.
is learn forgiveness and try to forget.
But you see, Mr. Todd, we can't be close to you and me, Mr. Todd, there's no one knows it.
And life is for the alive, my dear. So let's keep living it. Just keep living it. Really living it.
It doesn't have a happy ending. Sweeney Todd viscerally examines the darkest aspects of the human condition: revenge, hatred, abuse of power, corruption, and murder. One only needs to look at the front page of the newspaper to see that Sondheim created a work of art set in 19th century London that not only reflected life in 1979 when the musical was written, but also unfortunately still is reflective of society today. As society changes, so does the manner in which music and drama interact, while they serve as a mirror that we hold up in order to better examine ourselves. With writers such as Gilbert and Sullivan, we discover musical theater compositions that undoubtedly reflect the society in which they were written. Societies preoccupied with social standing, interaction between the social classes, and universal themes of love, jealousy, and sex. In early musical theater examples, what we do not see is a complex musical expression and musical interaction with the text through which the audience is able to understand society and in turn themselves at a level deeper than the expressed text alone. Once writers and composers began to write music specifically for the accompanying text, we begin to see concrete, dramatic, musical expression that delves more deeply into character and the society in which they exist. The examples by Rodgers and Hammerstein and finally Stephen Sondheim show a more developed and complex interaction between music and theater, where text verbalizes the music and the music in turn supports, enhances, and expresses feelings and ideas that cannot be expressed by words alone. The progression and development of the dynamic interaction of music and theater closely follows the development of society as a whole. As society becomes more complex, new writers and composers must find new and expanded ways to express themselves in the musical theater genre, as is evidenced in this discussion. With our new musical theater program here at UTA, we too are beginning to explore new and expanded ways to use the genre of musical theater to examine ourselves and the world. Our discussion began well over a year and a half ago when I was approached by music and theater artist Kate Kilbane about creating a workshop experience for the students of the Maverick Theater Company. Recently featured in American Theater Magazine as one of 9 national theater artists to know, Kate's background includes extensive acting training as well as work in viewpoints, movement, methodology, theater composition, and performance art. With the implementation of our new musical theater program on the horizon and Kate's ongoing collaboration with musical composition partner Dan Moses, transforming the proposal for a devised theatrical performance into a musical theater project seemed logical and exciting. Exciting too was the opportunity to join theater faculty and students with music professor Dr. George Chafe, who's here today, and his music composition students for the project. After more than 6 months of planning, Kate arrived on campus for the workshop where students worked to begin structuring a story based on the Greek myth of Ceyx and Alcyone. The video excerpt that you're about to see gives you a small glimpse into our Musical Theater Project 2014 exploration.
So, I want to tell you just a little bit about what this gorgeous group of artists has been doing for the last 2 days. We all met, it's sort of hard to believe, yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, and began this beautiful process of adapting a myth for performance, which is something that my husband Dan and I have been working on for a number of years now. And for the last 2 days, we have experimented with text and movement and song, and begun what we hope is a long journey of building something new and putting it into the world. Everything that you see on the stage this evening was made by these students. They wrote all of the text. They created all of these gorgeous physical moments. In addition to our actors, we have 3 fantastic composers who have been working with us for these same 2 days, improvising new pieces of music that have never been heard before, playing with us in the space. We've asked them to make storms, to make worlds fall apart, and to put them back together with their instruments. And they've done gorgeous work. So everything you hear tonight from them was created originally for this very piece. What you're going to see is kind of a collage. We start at the beginning of the tale and we move all the way through it. We do a little bit of jumping around because we wanted to give you a taste of our process of what we've been working on, the kinds of things that they've been building. In the spirit of that collage, Dan and I also arrived yesterday with 2 songs that we've written, that we've adapted for this piece, and the students are going to sing. And we decided in order to stay out of their way and let them build the world they wanted to build, we would create a song for the very beginning and a song for the very end, so that all of the center, the meat and guts of the work, could come from them. So that's been our process, and it's been such an honor and a pleasure to work with this group of artists. I can't imagine what we could do if we had more than 30 hours. And I welcome you here. Thank you for your open hearts. Thank you for letting us show you what we've been working on. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Travis. Can you believe we started yesterday? Insane, right? So I think there are some chunks of the second act that we play through, and chunks of the second act that we make sure the audience is on board with us in terms of what's happening, and we move right on to something else, right? So I think we got to figure out what moments we really want to play with, and what moments we feel like we can kind of move through generally. Right? So just keep that in the back of your head as we're going forward. Let's figure that out. I think this idea.
her not being together is
right? Flowing that way. And then there's a moment of calm before the storm. It might be total stillness. It might just be the experience of slowing down. Let's find out what happens. Listen and let that guide you. And then shipwreck, stillness.
That's the drum bass.
In drowning, use those big arms in each space the way you have, but don't, and your hands can go up, guys. Still, the feeling of up can be there for you, but just don't use your arms. So that CX is the only one, yeah? That's right. Ready when you guys are. Right.
So I guess that's how composition works. So.
We look to further develop this creative process in this project specifically and travel to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and represent both the Maverick Theatre Company and UTA on an international stage. So that's what we've planned for the future. But without further ado, I would like to introduce to you several of our new musical theater students who will sing some musical theater pieces that they've been working on this semester. So I'd like to introduce first Mr. Blake Rice, who comes to us from Grayson College. Over in the other chair, thank you. Mr. Brian Boyce, a native of St. Louis, who transferred to UTA from the University of Oklahoma. Okay. And Miss Alicia Gantberg, a Las Vegas native, who transferred to our program from TCU. And they're all accompanied today by our UTA music alum, Miss Tiffany Tsai. So,
that's what I needed, just what I needed. Something hanging around my neck, a helpless thing depending on me to bear its burden, clothe and feed it, practically carry it. A grown-up girl with the mind of a child, depending on me, measuring me, staring at me, measuring me. Everywhere I look, I can see her face. I can see her face, see it everywhere.
torn and tormented by that face, while the burning pain drives you so insane, you wish that you could smash that face. That's what I needed, just what I needed. Something hanging around my neck, a helpless thing depending on me to bear its burden, clothe and feed it, practically carry it. A grown-up girl with the mind of a child, depending on me, measuring me, staring at me, measuring me. Everywhere I look, I can see her face. I can see her face, see it everywhere. And when I close my eyes, it stays. And like a leaf whirls on a wind, around my mind it plays. If in my 2 hands I could hold that face, while my fingertips kissed her eyes and lips, and make them love and light and shine. But that would take 2 other hands, not mine. That would take 2 other hands, not mine.
Big news, another week goes by in Atlanta. Another fascinating, stimulating, spirit-stirring week. Big news, another Sunday comes to Atlanta. Another week of news so thrilling that your average city news hound wants to take a fly and jump into the creek. You got a kitten up a tree, well, come to me and I'll see it makes it on the front page. The mayor's mother broke her toe, they gotta know, stop the press, it's a mess, it's the scandal of the age. Hell, it's big news, another shock to rock Atlanta. Another information feast in the gateway to the whole Southeast. Look, in the mines and the mills and the Mexican hills, they've got stories to tell. Look, now Ohio's afloat, soon the women will vote, and we'll all go to hell. Look, now that Wilson is in and old Taft didn't win, they're coming to blows. Look, the Titanic went down, but I'm stuck in this town with my thumb up my nose, and that's big news. Another stark crazy freak in Atlanta. The Board of Estimates approved a new street. Yippee! They're building churches out of high-grade concrete. Oh, look at that! They say the rain will give a break from the heat. It's a spoof, it's a twist, it's a reason to exist. Pray to heaven, pray to Zeus. There's a genius on the loose, and that's really, 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 really big news. And you never saw such things in Atlanta.
These three performers that you just saw will be some of the stars of Into the Woods that's happening in February and March of next semester, so please join us over in the theater. And my final words, a short little thing. With all of this global warming, bad news in the world, all of that, just want you to keep one thing in mind. In the end, it's about musical theater. We get to sing along. This is from the movie Wall-E. Armageddon has happened. There are no humans left in the world. And the only surviving videotape is Hello, Dolly. Thank you.